What if I told you your darkest struggle isn't a random weakness? What if I told you it's a mark, a secret sign burned into your soul? Tonight we dive into a truth so unsettling, so deeply buried in forgotten scriptures and ancient whispers that most have chosen to ignore it. Lust. It stalks in the shadows of every chosen one. And it is not just a temptation, it is a weapon, an ancient tool forged to break the few who might one day threaten the thrones of unseen powers. Consider this chilling question. Why do those destined for greatness seem cursed with battles no ordinary soul could survive? King David, Samson, Augustine, even Paul. Each one shackled to an invisible chain. Was it simply human frailty, or a cosmic conspiracy designed to forge or to destroy? You are not struggling by accident. Your battle was assigned, chosen. And if you listen closely, if you dare to stare into the abyss with me tonight, you will uncover a terrifying yet liberating truth. That your war with lust is not a detour. It is the path itself. Throughout history, an eerie pattern reveals itself. Those marked for divine purposes are first attacked where it hurts the most. David, a man after God's own heart, did not stumble randomly into sin with Bathsheba. It was a surgical strike, a precise assault launched by forces that understood his future throne would shape kingdoms, and perhaps destinies far beyond what is written in our accepted Bibles. Joseph, the dreamer destined to save nations, faced a temptation so blatant with Potiphar's wife that one must wonder, was this merely carnal desire or an orchestrated attempt to sever his destiny before it could bloom? And Samson, gifted with unimaginable strength, was undone not by an army, but by his own lustful heart, seduced and sabotaged by Delilah. Was Delilah even human, or something else entirely? Ancient rabbinic texts hint she might have been part of a lineage designed to tempt and destroy. The world teaches you to despise your weakness. But in the realm of the unseen, your weakness might be the map to your destiny. The greater the purpose, the sharper the attack. The more radiant the calling, the darker the shadows that try to consume you. Lust is not random. It is targeted. It is precise. It is planned. Paul himself confessed a struggle so persistent, so invasive, that it led scholars for millennia to argue what his thorn in the flesh truly was. Was it a temptation of the flesh? An inner demon chained to his soul? Or was it a direct implantation from an enemy who knew, break the man and you break the message? The chilling possibility remains that temptation is not evidence of failure, but evidence of threat. And now I ask you, if your struggle feels unbearable, could it be because your hidden destiny threatens powers you can't even imagine? Imagine a war. Would a brilliant enemy waste time attacking empty fields? Or would he aim his deadliest weapons at the armories, the palaces, the hidden vaults of his foe? Lust is not mere weakness, it is sabotage, an ancient form of spiritual warfare designed not to kill you outright, but to disarm you slowly, insidiously. In secret Vatican archives, known only to a few scholars, there are documented cases of saints and mystics plagued by spirits of desire, so intense that entire convents and monasteries were burned down to erase the shame. These stories were buried because they reveal too much. They show that holiness is not the absence of battle. It is the cost of survival. The book of Job opens a window into this strategy. Satan did not destroy Job with war or disease first. He attacked his blessings, his joy, his intimacy, his human attachments, because where love distorts into lust, a soul can be fragmented beyond recognition, and fragmented souls are easy prey. Modern psychology tries to explain away lust as mere evolutionary wiring, but beneath that sterile language lies a more sinister truth. Our very bodies are battlegrounds, manipulated by unseen hands. Ancient Gnostic texts banned by early church councils whispered of a force known as the Archon of Desire, a being tasked with derailing souls through temptation so intense it could reshape a man's destiny overnight. The battle you feel within you is not madness. It is not weakness. It is a siege, and your soul is the fortress under attack. In 2 Corinthians 12:7-9, Paul shatters every modern illusion of easy grace. He writes of a thorn, a tormenting force allowed, perhaps even assigned by God himself. A messenger of Satan, he calls it, yet it is not removed. Instead, God responds, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." The deeper meaning is chilling. The presence of the thorn was not a punishment. It was preparation. It was weaponization through suffering. Some early desert fathers believed that Paul's thorn was an unrelenting lust, a chain to remind him that no matter how high he soared in spirit, his flesh was still clay, still corruptible, still needing divine sustenance to survive. Could it be that God does not always destroy our battles, because the battle itself is what sharpens the blade of our spirit? Could it be that without your struggle you would become something far more dangerous to yourself than to your enemies? History suggests it is so. Every major figure who shaped spiritual history walked with a limp, bore a scar, carried a thorn. But if perfection was never the goal? What if dependence was? To crush pride before it could fester into damnation. To fracture the ego so that the spirit might reign supreme. Every moment you kneel under the weight of your own weakness, you are building a fortress higher than your enemies could ever climb. And here lies the secret your enemy fears most. It is not your strength that terrifies him. It is your brokenness, surrendered and weaponized, that makes you unstoppable. St. Augustine famously cried, "Lord, make me pure," but not yet, confessing to battles with lust that haunted him even as he shaped the foundations of Christian theology. If the chosen struggle, why do we believe our struggle disqualifies us? Perhaps it is our struggle that identifies us. The internal war you feel, the shame, the guilt, the endless return to God's mercy, is not evidence of abandonment. It is evidence of refinement. Like a blade forged in a blacksmith's fire, the soul is purified not in still waters, but in searing flames. Your very failures might be the heat that tempers you for an unseen battle ahead. Ancient writings, long censored, speak of the refiners, spiritual forces permitted to test the chosen, pushing them to the brink, ensuring that only those who survive the inferno can bear the unbearable light of divine purpose. What if your nightly battles, your silent prayers, your unseen tears are the rite of passage, the training ground for a war you have yet to fight? You are not being punished, you are being prepared. Your enemy seeks to convince you otherwise, because if you knew the truth, if you embraced the suffering as sacred, you would rise. And you would be unstoppable, not because you are without wounds, but because your wounds have become weapons. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, broken, and ashamed, remember, every fallen tear waters the garden of your future greatness. Now comes the great turning point. What you do with your struggle defines everything. Many fall here, but few, the rare few, transform. Recognition is the first step. Acknowledging that you are under attack, not because you are weak, but because you are dangerous, transforms shame into sacred awareness. C.S. Lewis, tormented by what he called a zoo of lusts, turned his agony into some of the most profound Christian writings the world has ever seen. He weaponized his weakness. What if your struggle could birth a mission that saves others drowning in the same darkness? Your pain can become prophecy. Your wounds can become weapons. Your despair can become deliverance for someone else. As it is written in 2 Corinthians 1:4, God comforts us in all our troubles so that we can comfort those in any trouble. You are not fighting only for yourself. You are fighting for those whose lives will one day depend on your victory. But the final key is discipline fueled by grace. Not sterile self-will, not harsh legalism, but a fierce, burning, supernatural resolve empowered by the Spirit itself. Scripture meditation. Boundaries of steel. Sacrificial service. Strategic accountability. This is how you become what the enemy fears most, the broken man who will not yield, because the most terrifying thing to the forces of darkness is not a perfect saint. It is a wounded warrior who refuses to stay down. Hear this and tremble. Your struggle is not evidence of your rejection. It is the branding of your recruitment. Every time you fall and rise again, you carve another letter into the eternal decree of your destiny. Your battle with lust is not a detour from your calling. It is your calling's forge. David fell, but rose to write Psalm 51, a song that has healed millions. Paul staggered under his thorn, yet planted churches that changed history. Augustine battled lust and became a saint. Will your story end in ashes or fire? That choice is yours. Remember, the enemy does not waste ammunition on those who pose no threat. The fierceness of your battle is the measure of your potential impact. Where you see failure, God sees forging. Where you see weakness, heaven sees a weapon being born. Tonight, choose to see with new eyes, not eyes of shame, but eyes of prophecy. What if everything you have suffered is shaping you into the very blade that will one day tear down the strongholds of darkness? If this revelation stirred your spirit, subscribe, like, and join our movement. Because at Doom Theory, we do not flee the darkness, we face it, and together we forge warriors out of ashes. You were chosen, now it's time to fight like it.